The top 10 world's most unusual flowers. This video is a list of most unusual flowers in the world that will totally surprise you. These flowers resemble things you may never think of. Flowers are one of the things we admire in nature. The fact is, most of us love flowers. We use flowers to decorate our environments and we love to perceive their nice fragrances. As for these unusual flowers, they will not only beautify the environment but also attract the attention of people for minutes. You may have wondered, what is the most unusual flower in the world? These flower pictures are not photoshopped, they are all really amazing, rare, and unusual floras. Watch this video and see this wonderful God's creations that are on the lists of world's most unusual flowers. Ballerina orchid. Caldenia is genus of 350 species of plants in the orchid family, growing mostly in the Australian region. Ballerina orchid named so because of its uncanny resemblance with a ballerina figure. The red-black parts are actually the sepals on the flower, with one dorsal sepal being erect. The white and red parts make up the petals arranged like the lateral sepals, which adds on to its structural resemblance with a ballerina. The lower sepal act like delicate scampering legs. The head area is the labellum, which acts as grounds for pollination. On its sides are present white teeth-like structures. This flower looks like a tiny ballerina with a beautiful pink to white gown and in a graceful ballet pose. How beautiful can God's creation be? These plants bloom August to mid-September. This kind of an orchid is extremely rare. This plant grows only on Lake Altham in Mal biogeographic region. The grazing of rabbits and kangaroos in the regions where they grow pose great threat to these orchids. Hooker's lips flower. Hooker's lips, scientifically known as Psychotria elata, is a tropical plant native to rainforests in Costa Rica, Ecuador and other Central and South American countries. The most eye-catching part of the plant is its beautiful pair of red bracts that look like luscious lips, from where the plant acquires its common name. Its gorgeous and distinctive shape helps the plant attract pollinators such as hummingbirds and butterflies. The flower of the plant is not as notable as its bracts, which is white and fragrant and usually emerges from the center of the red-hot bracts between December and March. People in Central America gift the plant to their family and friends to show their love, especially on Valentine's Day. Its bark and leaves are also used by locals to treat several diseases including skin irritation. However, the plant is slowly vanishing due to deforestation and climate change. Hence, this rare plant species needs special care and protection so we don't have to kiss it goodbye. Devil's hand flower. The devil's hand tree is best known for its striking bright red and yellow, five-fingered flowers. The tree has large leaves that are dark green on the upper face and pale brown on the lower face. It is a typical species of Guatemalan and Mexican cloud forests, but it also found in oak forest and pine oak forest at elevations of between 1,830 and 2,740 meters. The red flowers are used medicinally as a traditional remedy for some heart diseases. The bark is used as rope and the large leaves are used to wrap food. The tree also had religious significance to the pre-Columbian Aztec people. The species is popular in cultivation as an ornamental tree. It has also been used as the iconic symbol of the Botanical Society of Mexico since the 1940s. The species' native cloud forest habitat is threatened by extremely high deforestation rates. Like other cloud forest trees, the devil's hand tree may also become increasingly threatened by climate change. As temperatures rise, cloud forest trees will be forced to migrate up mountain slopes to find favorable conditions, leading to a gradual decline in available habitat. Restoring populations with planted seedlings and saplings offers some hope for the species. Seeds must be collected from slightly open fruits on the distal parts of the branches of the tree. The seeds may remain viable for up to 7 months at 4 degrees Celsius and less than 12% relative humidity. Seedlings can also be obtained from seeds placed on damp soil beds with a thin litter cover. Snapdragon seed heads. If you are thinking, is this a flower? Yes, it is. Snapdragon flower is a beautiful flower when it just blossoms. Snapdragon seed head's flower looks like a dragon head when its flower shrinks and falls, leaving the pods. If you gently squeeze both sides of the flower pod, the jaw closes. The flowers are being pollinated by bumblebees. After the pollinated flower dies, then the snapdragon seed head looks more like a brown human skull. The tiny skull-like look of snapdragon seed heads appears as if they are crying in agony, like something creepy. That is the reason the flower is on the list of unusual flowers in the world. They can be found in rocky regions of North Africa, the United States, and Europe. Moth orchid, genus of about 60 species of orchids, native to southeastern Asia and part of Australia. Some species are cultivated for the commercial flower trade and are crossed to produce hybrids with beautiful white, purple, and pink flowers. Many of the horticultural species and hybrids are fairly easy to grow and are popular houseplants. Moth orchids have a short stem that bears several broad leathery leaves. Most species are epiphytic, with thick roots, and do not require soil to survive. Potted plants are commonly sold loosely rooted with wood chips. The flower spike arises from the base of the plant and has one to several long-lasting flowers. The flowers consist of two lateral petals, a central modified petal known as a labellum lip, a column that houses the reproductive structures, and three petal-like sepals. The flowers of some species turn green after pollination. Cultivated plants require regular moisture and fertilizer and generally bloom once a year. Flame lily. The flame lily is not a true lily, but it has lily-like flowers, and this is how it got its common name. This plant belongs to the same family as autumn crocuses, Colchicaceae, but it does not look like a crocus either. It is a slender, tall vine that grows up to 8 feet tall. In the spring, the flame lily sends out tall stems from its thick, tuberous roots. The stems grow quickly and from midsummer to fall develop flowers that can be nodding or opening upwards. After the bloom, the stems die back. 2 words of caution about this plant. Firstly, the tubers spread vigorously, and in Australia and several Pacific islands, Gloriosa lily is classified as invasive. While it has not been classified as invasive by any U.S. state, it has escaped cultivation in several areas. Due to its highly invasive potential, it is recommended to grow flame lily in pots only. Monkey face orchid. The monkey face orchid is a very rare species that only grows at high elevations in cool and dim environments. It is popularly used as an indoor and ornamental plant as well as in floristry. Although it is an interesting plant that you can add to your home garden, taking care of it is quite challenging. This is why it is not recommended for those who are just starting to grow their first houseplant. Monkey face orchids grow in very specific environmental conditions. So if you want them to survive, you really need to take good care of them. But no worries, because in this guide, we will be giving you the necessary information you need to know to ensure that your orchid grows strong and healthy. The plant was called the monkey face orchid because of its resemblance to the simians. In fact, its scientific name roughly translates to little dragon monkey. It is best paired with lush plants like rubber trees, pineapple plants, and dwarf banana trees. White egret orchid, also known as white egret flower, crane orchid or fringed orchid, the egret flower Habenaria radiata produces strappy, deep green leaves and beautiful flowers that closely resemble pure white birds in flight. Read on to learn more about this exotic plant. Native to Asia, egret flower is a type of terrestrial orchid that grows from fleshy, pea-sized tubers. It grows primarily in grassy wetlands, shady glades, or bogs. Egret flower is endangered in its natural habitat, probably due to urbanization, habitat destruction, and overcollecting. Egret flower is suitable for growing in USDA plant hardiness zones 5 through 10, although with proper care and ample mulch, it may tolerate more northern climes. Alternatively, you can grow egret flower in pots and bring it indoors when frosty temperatures approach in autumn. Parrot flower. The scientific name of parrot flower is Impatiens psittacina. It is also known as parrot balsam, because it is a species of balsam. It was initially described by the botanist Joseph Dalton Hooker. The flower became popular for its resemblance to a flying cockatoo. Even in Thailand it was more commonly found in Shan states, by a British official. The seeds of this flower were presented to the Royal Gardens in 1899 and the plant flowered in 1900. This flower needs an extremely hot and wet climate, as is found in Thailand, Myanmar and also in some parts of India. Many assume that it is the climate, due to which the flower cannot be grown by gardeners around the world. However, there are a few more reasons as well. One of the primary reason is that the flower is protected and cannot be exported. Although you may come across some websites on the internet which claim to sell the seeds of the flowers, the seeds may be of flowers that are similar to parrot flowers, but not of parrot flowers themselves. The other reason why the plant has successfully not grown in other parts of the world is because its pollinator is not known. There are different beliefs about the pollinators. Some say it is a small bat or a small bird, which has a tongue long enough to reach inside the flower. Others believe that the pollinator may be a wasp or large bees. Although the flower looks beautiful, the plant is not a beautiful sight. It grows into a bush, which is untidy, and wide-leafed, and may grow as tall as 6 feet high. One may have to bear with the unsightly sight for about 10 months in the year, as it blooms only for a few weeks around October-November every year. Parrot flower. The scientific name of parrot flower is Impatiens citacina. It is also known as parrot balsam, because it is a species of balsam. It was initially described by the botanist Joseph Dalton Hooker. The flower became popular for its resemblance to a flying cockatoo. Even in Thailand, it was more commonly found in Shan states, by a British official. The seeds of this flower were presented to the royal gardens in 1899 and the plant flowered in 1900. This flower needs an extremely hot and wet climate, as is found in Thailand, Myanmar and also in some parts of India. Many assume that it is the climate, due to which the flower cannot be grown by gardeners around the world. However, there are a few more reasons as well. One of the primary reason is that the flower is protected and cannot be exported. Although you may come across some websites on the internet which claim to sell the seeds of the flowers, the seeds may be of flowers that are similar to parrot flowers, but not of parrot flowers themselves. The other reason why the plant has successfully not grown in other parts of the world is because its pollinator is not known. There are different beliefs about the pollinators. Some say it is a small bat or a small bird, which has a tongue long enough to reach inside the flower. Others believe that the pollinator may be a wasp or large bees. Although the flower looks beautiful, the plant is not a beautiful sight. It grows into a bush, which is untidy, and wide-leafed, and may grow as tall as 6 feet high. One may have to bear with the unsightly sight for about 10 months in the year, as it blooms only for a few weeks around October-November every year. Thank you for watching.